I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things. Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it. The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. The show goes on!
It's Wednesday night and fantasy football is on the agenda. Grab a seat and let's get down to business. It's time for the Fantasy Boardroom. Here's your host, Tycoon.
And welcome to the Fantasy Boardroom. As always, I am your host, Tycoon, and it is time to get into Week 4. Week 3 was yet another wild week in the NFL. The Broncos absolutely getting beat down by the machine that is the Miami Dolphins. That's kind of the highlight of the week. Another injury, another QB goes down. Derek Carr, he is week to week with a sprained AC joint. We will see how that goes. So it's famous Jameis time, at least for this week, it appears, and we'll see how that goes over the next few weeks. But enough reflection on Week 3 as it is. We are ready to move to Week 4. You've already done your waivers, so what we care about is what is happening tomorrow and this weekend, and we will jump right in. No tickers tonight, no time. It is my birthday. That's why we're starting a little bit early tonight. Things to do. Got to get moving. And welcome, yes, sir, Anthony. Thank you for being here, my friend. So, yeah, we're just going to jump right in because, again, my birthday, got stuff to do. Just want to get through the show tonight. It'll probably be a bit breezy. So we will dive right into the first matchup, which is the Lions and the Packers. Thursday night football. We have the Lions going off as 1.5-point favorites currently, minus 120 on the money line with an over-under of 46. To me, this is a really nice spot for the Lions. I don't think Jordan Love has been very good. An unsustainable touchdown rate, low completion percentage. We'll see if Watson's back, if that helps, but it's not a spot that I'm particularly encouraged by when it comes to the Packers. The Lions have, on the flip side, looked strong. They blew it against Seattle, but overall, they've put together 3 pretty good performances. Offense looks good. Defense looks good. Monty may be back for the Lions tomorrow. It appears that it's trending that way. Good news for the Detroit offense. I think this is a good spot for them to go in and steal a win at Lambeau. So for the pick for the game, it's going to be Lions money line. Who to start? You're going to start Monty if he's active. You're going to start Jahmyr Gibbs. You're going to start Amon-Ra St. Brown. And looks like I'm going to have to take the L on Sam Laporta. It looks like he's pretty much locked in as a mid-TE1 at this point, just getting a lot of usage. I still don't think he looks amazing, but he's getting all the action. 5 catches a game so far, so you got to ride with Laporta. That's as much consistency as you can really ask for outside of the elite few. And on the Packers side, start Aaron Jones if he's active. And you can start Musgrave, another rookie T that I'm not taking the L on, but this is a good spot. The Lions are weak against tight end. You can go ahead and sit Jared Goff. The Packers' pass defense is strong. You can sit Jordan Love. You can sit A.J. Dillon, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. I really don't want much to do with the Packer offense when it comes to tomorrow in the short week against a decent Detroit defense. However, the one notable exception, again, Luke Musgrave. Over 3.5 receptions I'm going to take. I really like that. So far in the 2023 season, and I understand that we're only 3 games in, but where am I looking at here? The Detroit Lions have been the worst team against fantasy tight ends so far, giving them 56.9 points to the position. And when they played the Chiefs, they didn't even have Travis Kelce. They've given up 25 receptions to the position through 3 games. So we're looking at, 8 tight end receptions a game? Yeah, you're going to start Luke Musgrave, and you're going to take his over on the 3.5 receptions, both on underdog and at minus 130. It's juiced, but isn't a great spot for it. Love has been looking his way. He's been missing him, but I think he'll have a little bit more success towards Musgrave, particularly tomorrow. We move to the Falcons and the Jaguars. The Jaguars are 3-point favorites here at home, over under a 43, and Jags minus 162 on the money line. Falcons plus 136 dogs. I think this is a great bounce back spot for the Jaguars. Admittedly, they have not looked good offensively, not really defensively either, through the first 3 weeks, but Lawrence has been better than the numbers indicate. The offense just seems off. I think they're going to find their groove. Falcons have a good pass defense, but they're still vulnerable. So in this particular game, I'm looking to start Bijan. I'm looking to start Drake London. I'm looking to start Kyle Pitts. In Europe, he performs much better. So I will start Pitts in this game. And on that same note, the Jaguars, they have been, 8th worst against the tight end position. 15 receptions through 3 games, averaging 5, almost 50 yards, a couple of touchdowns. So they'll be a little bit vulnerable to the spot. I think this could be a good spot for him. But you're going to sit Ritter, you're going to sit Algier, you're going to sit those 2 guys from Atlanta. And on the Jacksonville side, you'll start Trevor, start ETN, of course, start Calvin Ridley, start Evan Ingram. The Falcons also are not good against the tight end position. And you can sit Christian Kirk in this one. I didn't have a chance to check this before, so I'm going to do so right now. Given the Falcons' weakness against the tight ends as well, I did want to check that prop. There was nothing up last night. See if there is now. Ooh, and there is 5 receptions, 48.5 receiving yards. I think I like 48.5 receiving yards over for Evan Ingram. I'm going to say that officially without even doing too much more research. I think it could be a tougher day for Ridley and Kirk in particular, opening things up for Ingram. And I definitely think the Jags are going to win on their home field there in London. They're the home team. Come on. They're half in London as it is with Shad Khan running things. So Jags -3 at minus 115 is a pick I will take as well, along with the Ingram prop. Now we go to the Commanders and the Eagles. This is probably going to be ugly there at the lake. So you can start all the Eagles. You can sit all the Commanders. Shout out DeAndre Swift. He's going to have another great game. It's going to be beautiful. I hope you listened. Hope you bought him. Drafting him at that 8th round price. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Going to be one of the biggest deals in the draft outside of Keenan Allen, who we also told you to be drafting. We had him ranked as a wide receiver 1, and that's only looking better by the day. He's old. He gets hurt. Get out of here. It's Keenan Allen. The guy's a dog. But anyways, you will start every Eagle here. There is no Commander worth starting, not even Brian Robinson. I wouldn't start him. Terry, Howell, none of them. Forget it all. Last night's notes, I had Howell at under 219.5 passing yards. That has dropped down to 213.5 passing yards. So I'm probably going to lay off now. So wish I had put that in last night. I wanted it to stay official with what I advised. So I'm probably going to lay off now, but I'd still kind of lean towards that under. But this one's simple. Start all the Eagles. Hurts, A.J. Brown, Goddard, Smith, Swift. Sit every Commander and enjoy the game. Or don't. It's probably going to be horrible. I wouldn't watch it unless you're a fan of one of those teams. And really, unless you're an Eagles fan, it's going to suck if you're a Commanders fan. From there, Dolphins, Bills. Now this one, baby. So, excuse me. We have the Bills as 2.5-point favorites at home, minus 142 on the money line. The Dolphins plus 120 on the money line, over under a 54. Whatever there's a high total like this in a game that's anticipated to be a huge shootout, I kind of like the under. So I'm going to follow that throughout the week, but that's what happened with the Chargers and Vikings. Fell just under, which I liked. There was a shootout as expected, but 54 points is a lot of points, and I know the Dolphins just put up 70 on their own, but Bills' defense is decent. Now, granted, they have not exactly faced a murderer's row, Zach Wilson, Jimmy G, Sam Howell, but I believe they've only given up 29 points, not even 10 points a game so far. So they're performing regardless of who's under center on the other side. And this is going to be a new test for the Bills defense, but ultimately expect this to be a closer division matchup. 54 points. I'm going to lean towards the under. But you start everybody in this game, obviously. Start Tua, start Tyreek, start Waddle if he's back, start Mostert, Achan, as we've now learned, Achan. You start Allen, you start Diggs, you start Cook. It's going to be fun. I loved Josh Allen over 265.5 passing yards. That's gone up to 270.5 passing yards. So another one should have just put in last night. But still lean towards the over, but not locking that in yet. Stay tuned to the Discord. Now we move to the Vikings and Panthers. Vikings are 4.5-point favorites on the road against the Carolina Panthers, who may or may not have Bryce Young back. For their purposes of winning, it may be better if he sits another week and Andy Dalton takes the reins. But the Vikings are minus 205 favorites on the money line, over under a 45.5. So still expect some points in this game. And I think you can start a fair amount of people. You can start Cousins, you can start JJ, obviously, Hawk. Just basically the big guns for the Vikings, and similar for the Panthers. Really just the big guns. Dalton, if he plays. Young, no, if he doesn't. Sanders, yes. Thielen, yes, either way, but feel better if it is Dalton out there. You can sit Addison and Madison on the Vikings side, and you can sit Hurst on the Panther side. And there are no picks that I like for this particular game. A lot of juice on the Vikings money line. Would probably be willing to use that in a parlay. I know they're 0-3, but there's no way they should lose this game. This is a great spot for them to pick up their first one of the year. So now we move to another kind of gross game, and that is Steelers-Texans. The plus side is CJ Stroud has been looking good, so there will be something to watch for. Just continue to see his progression. Texans are poor on the ground, though, so you can start Najee in this game, as crazy as it is. Start Najee, start Freiermuth, start Damian Pierce. Again, I know, but the Steelers are a sieve on the against the rush. And you can start Nico Collins. Sit Pickett, sit Pickens, sit Stroud, Dell, and Schultz. Tank Dell. I don't think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. I think the offensive line troubles are really going to be an issue for Houston this week, especially facing TJ Watt. If there's one thing the Steelers have been doing well so far, at least, it's been establishing an effective pass rush. So it could be a long day for them, but that should allow some opportunities, with the over-aggressive pass rush for Pierce to find a little room this week, even with the depleted offensive line. Stroud's going to have to get the ball out quick. I think Collins is going to be the apple of his eye this week. The ball's going to go somewhere. They're not going to shut down the passing game as a whole, but I'm just going to focus on the number one here. And on that note, I'm going to take Nico Collins over on his 50.5 receiving yards this week on Underdog. Now we move to the Ravens-Browns. This is, apart from Dolphins-Bills, maybe the game I am most excited for this week. The Browns are 3-point home favorites, just getting that field goal edge for being at home. Over under 40.5 is appropriate with strong defenses here in this matchup. The Browns are minus 155 on the money line, which, again, I kind of love. What does that do if we pair that with the Vikings? Just those two, plus 144? That might be something I take a little run at. I really like the Browns in this spot. I think the Browns defense, or the Ravens offense, as encouraging as the start has been with Monken. It hasn't been crazy explosive or anything, but Browns defense is for real. So I'm taking them very, very seriously and not expecting a whole lot out of the Ravens this week. That said, you're never benching Lamar, so you're going to start Lamar. You're never benching Andrews, so you're going to start Andrews. On the flip side, with Cleveland, you can start Deshaun this week. You can start Jerome Ford. And you can start Amari Cooper. Again, just the big guns. It's going to be lower scoring. So who's going to get that primary production? You can sit all the Ravens wide receivers, even Flowers this week. You can sit Gus Edwards, any of the running backs. You can sit Elijah Moore and David Njoku. They're going to struggle against this Ravens defense as well. Two really good defenses. Two offenses still finding their way. Keep expectations tempered. Ooh, and then back to another kind of gross game in the Bengals versus the Titans, at the Titans in particular. The Bengals are 2.5-point favorites on the road, only minus 130 on the money line. And the over-under also 40.5. Again, a somewhat struggling offense with an injured Joe Burrow there in Cincinnati. And then an offense doing absolutely nothing when it comes to the Tennessee Titans and Ryan Tannehill's group. Derrick Henry is looking old and slow, sadly. I do think he starts slow often, though, so I think there are better days ahead for the King. And the Titans, their defense, best against the run, horrific against the pass. They are a pass funnel. So in this matchup, you're going to start Burrow, Chase, and T, no doubt. And the Bengals defensively have not really been that great. Better against a poor performing Matthew Stafford this past Monday night, but I digress. So the Titans should be able to do a little something on offense, and I say just start Henry and Hopkins. Again, just the number ones. You can't start Tannehill. You can't start Burks. You can't start Chig. And then the other sit is going to be on the Bengals side, and that's Joe Mixon. Don't start running backs against the Titans. Very, very simple concept. No props or official bet to make here. Buccaneers and Saints. This is a tricky one because we don't know for sure if it's going to be Jameis or Carr starting, although fairly certain it's going to be Jameis. So with that in mind, Buccaneers have been... They started 2-1. The 2-0 start was nice, but not against the best competition. Brought back down to earth in a big way against the Eagles at home. So there's really not a lot of players that I have confidence in to start against the Saints. Certainly not Mike Evans against Marshawn Lattimore, that has trended downwards their entire careers. The last time out, put up a donut against Lattimore in multiple one-catch performances. The last 3-4 seasons, he's virtually done nothing against the Saints when facing Lattimore. So you're going to sit Evans. You can sit Rashad White against this rush defense of New Orleans. Sit Baker Mayfield against this strong defense in general. But you're still going to start Godwin. I can't. It hasn't been there yet, but soon I really expect Baker to have to be leaning on his guide for quick releases. Just getting the ball out quickly, and Godwin will be the beneficiary of that. On the Saints side, assuming it is Winston starting, start Kamara, Olave, and Michael Thomas. And sit Winston, sit Juwan Johnson. But yeah, I'm not afraid to start Kamara here in his first game back off the 3-game suspension. Thrilled he's back. If you took the chance, drafted him in one of those middle rounds, anticipating this return, don't hesitate. Fire him up, especially with the state of the position today. Well, no reason not to. Kamara will, in my estimation, be a low-end RB1 rest of season. Ride it. Be happy. Be happy you took him. Especially if you weathered through the first 2 weeks. If you're 3-0 or 2-1, great. If you're even just 1-2 and now you get Kamara coming back and optimism about some of the players on your team, maybe some guys off the slow starts, you're still in a fine spot. Now we move to Broncos at Bears, which is a game that is happening. It exists. Want nothing to do with it, but I will say you can start Russ, Judy, Javante, and on the flip side, you can start Roschon Johnson, maybe even Justin Fields, just because it's a soft Denver defense as well. Might see some of the rushing this week. I'm very hesitant to, but it might be an option. Honestly, you might even just want to sit them all. You may just want to disassociate yourself with this game altogether. Maybe if you're playing DFS, you get some of these guys because it's probably going to be a well-avoided game. So you can have a little bit of difference in ownership, have some unique lineups in there. But outside of that, this is just so disgusting. The Broncos have been an embarrassment again. They just got 70 put up on them by Mike McDaniel and the boys down in Miami. But Chicago legitimately might be the worst team I've seen since the 0-16 Browns several years ago. This is a really bad group. They may not win a game. It's bad times there in Chicago. I almost feel bad for their fans, but they've had plenty of success in other sports, so I'm not going to cry too hard for them. But oh my gosh, this is an abject disaster. All right, we're just going to stop talking about the worst thing that is going to happen in the NFL in Week 4 and move to Rams and Colts. Again, a little tricky. We don't know if Anthony Richardson is going to play. He practiced a bit today, limited practice, but is still in concussion protocol. And that could go either way, honestly. It's not a linear injury, so to speak. So it's going to monitor symptoms day by day, and we'll see what happens. Even if Gardner goes out there and plays, the Colts probably still have a good shot. The Rams aren't very good. So, but as far as what we really care about, and actually I forgot to mention, I didn't even go over the numbers for Broncos Bears because it's just too nasty. But for Rams Colts, Rams are 1.5 point favorites on the road in Indy, minus 118 on the money line as the favorite, only minus 102 for the Colts. So bit of a toss up, over under 47. Expect some points here. So you can start Kyron Williams. I would start Puka. I'd start Tutu Atwell. Not afraid to start. Thank you, Tutu Atwell, by the way. That last second garbage time touchdown there on Monday night propelled me to a massive, massive win in a very important league, Fantasy Island Season 5, where I am going for a three-peat because it was a split title last year due to the Damar Hamlin incident. So that was split championship there. So I guess a 2.5-peat. I want my legitimate repeat here. So getting me off to a 2-1 start there. Thank you, Tutu, for coming through in the clutch. I support you, my man. On the Colts side, start Zach Moss, start Michael Pittman. You can start Richardson if he's healthy. If he's not, I'm not going to start Minshew, sit Minshew. You can sit all the other Colts. You can also sit Matthew Stafford and Tyler Higbee in this matchup. Raiders-Chargers, nice divisional matchup here. Chargers 5.5 point favorites at SoFi, minus 225 on the money line, over under a 48.5. The Raiders coming in off a loss to the Steelers. We saw one of the worst coaching decisions you're ever going to see. Josh McDaniels kicking the field goal with under 3 minutes left on the 4-yard line, down 8. So still needing to score a touchdown if they even got the ball back. Disaster. And just as horrific of a decision, on the other side, Brandon Staley against Minnesota chose to go for it with under 2 minutes at his own 25-yard line, 4th and 1, and did not get it and was bailed out. Thankfully, he had a 4-point lead, so the Vikings did have to score a touchdown and were unable to. But that was horrific. That was really bad. I understand the risk reward. If you get it, you win the game right there. But just another in a long lines of overly aggressive decisions from Staley. And I love going 4th and 4th. I love in general that he's aggressive. But my God, man, please figure context. I mean, you can't follow analytics blindly. You have to apply situational awareness to your analysis. It's unbelievable that this guy still has his job. I don't ever want anybody to get fired in anything they do, but holy shit, man. My Staley, you're just all over the place. Horrible. All right. Now, in this matchup, though, you want to start the usuals. You're going to start Justin Herbert. You're going to start Keenan Allen. You're going to start Gerald Everett. I would say if you desperation, you can start Josh Palmer. Not somebody I'm particularly excited for the rest of the way, even with Williams out. I would rather have Quentin Johnston. Immediately, it'll probably be better protection from Palmer next 2-3 weeks maybe. But over the second half of the year, I fully expect QJ to be the one raking in the points and certainly has a higher ceiling than Palmer, who's been meh when he's had to fill in as wide receiver too. Also, and I know this is going to sound horrible, but if Eckler's still out, I'm starting Josh Kelly in this game. I know. He's horrible. He's not good. I agree. I very much agree. You know who also isn't good? The Raiders. I just think there's an excellent chance that he gets at least a touchdown here in this matchup. That's scoring opportunity will be high. I don't expect any efficient rushing or high yardage totals or anything, but certainly a 12 to 15 point day I see in his future here in this particular matchup. And on the Raiders side, really only starting, again, just the big boys, Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. I will sit Palmer and QJ for this matchup. Palmer, if you really, really have no other option, sitting Jimmy G and sitting Jacoby Myers in this one. I think it's going to be another rough go for the Raiders. Another game with a massive spread, the biggest of the week, is the Cardinals at Levi Stadium facing the San Francisco 49ers, the best team in football so far. You can make the argument for Miami, but I don't think anybody would argue that San Francisco was better defensively than Miami. So you pair that defense with an offense still scoring 30 a game. It's a combination no other team has so far this year. Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Go San Francisco all the way. On the Cardinal side, you can start James Conner, you can start Marquise Brown, and you can start all the usual 49ers. Purdy, CMC, Debo, if he's active, Kittle, Ayuk, everybody. Anybody who's out there, go ahead and start them. Sit Josh Dobbs this week, sit Zach Ertz this week. Tight ends do nothing against the 49ers, and you can sit all other Cardinals as well. Strangely, my favorite prop here is a Cardinals over. I know, right? But Marquise Brown, it was 42.5 last night. Now 43.5 receiving yards. I am saying smash that over. Cardinals will play from behind a fair amount of this game. And the 49ers are not immune to a receiver just having their own individual strong day. 43.5 yards is very low. We saw what Puka did. I think even Tutu Atwell exceeded that yardage total against us a couple of weeks ago. Last week. So, no, 2 weeks ago. Sorry, yeah, Rams game, second week. It should be little trouble for him. I mean, he's the primary receiving option as well for Dobbs, between him and Ertz. And Ertz is going to be shut down. So, Marquise Brown, over 43.5 receiving yards. I like that very, very much going up against the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday. Now, a matchup that I think provides, again, we're back to a matchup with some intrigue, and that is the Patriots at AT&T Stadium at Jerry World facing self-proclaimed America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's kind of gross. Good defenses, mediocre offenses. One notably better than the other, obviously, with Dallas, but still. Once again, there's a theme of this week. Really only looking to start big men in this one. Big boys. Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, and C.D. Lamb. I am thrilled to sit all of the following. Mac Jones, every Patriots wide receiver. Hunter Henry, Dak Prescott, Brandon Cooks, Michael Gallup, sit them all. Want nothing to do with them. I think it's going to be a tough one for the Cowboys. I do think they'll squeak out a win. I don't think it's huge. It's probably going to be looked at as a bounce back spot after the loss against Arizona. Very bad loss for them. But I don't think they're going to smoke the Patriots. Patriots are still coached by Bill Belichick, still have a strong, pretty decent defense. Cowboys offense has not really found its true form yet. I do think they'll improve more as the season goes along, but this is not going to be the week where it's clicking on all cylinders. So I'm just taking the big guns, particularly the running backs plus Lamb. I actually really like the under in this game of 40. Well, it was 43.5 last night. Damn, see, everything I liked has moved. So my initial instincts appear correct, at least with the market. Now it's just under 43 at minus 112. I will take that. I failed to mention the Cowboys are 6.5 point favorites here at home at minus 108 and minus 270 on the money line. Patriots plus 220 dogs. But yeah, I like the under. Take the under 43. I am very okay. I liked it more with the half, so we could still win at 43, but what are you going to do? If it's a push, it's a push. Now we get to Sunday night football. That when this match was scheduled, I think executives at NBC were much more excited for. Because we have the Kansas City Taylor Swifts at MetLife Stadium facing the New York Zach Wilsons. They thought this was a Mahomes-Rodgers matchup. And this would have been great for week 4 if we had Rodgers. I would have loved it. This would have been tremendous. Now, the biggest story going into this matchup is, of course, Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. It's great stuff. Good for you, Travis. Good for you. Dating the most successful woman in the entire world. That's good on you, buddy. Good for you. I'm not a big fan of yours, Travis, in particular. I mean, I like you, but, you're a chief. I can only take it so far. But you are a great player, one of the great tight ends of all time. I'm glad a new section of the world is being introduced to our sport and to you. And how wonderful of a player you are. Unfortunately, now it means all these people are just going to jump on the Chiefs bandwagon, all these Swifties, but whatever. It's more football fans. So ultimately, good thing. Glad about it. Hope you guys have fun. Enjoy the time you have together. But yeah, we have the Chiefs coming in to face Zach Wilson. They are 9.5-point road favorites here, minus 410 on the money line. The New York Jets plus 320 home dogs. Over under up 41.5, showing some respect to the Jets defense and no respect to the Jets offense. I'm not touching any of those as far as the spread or the over under, nothing like that. But what I will say is you can start Mahomes, you can start Isaiah Pacheco, you can start Travis Kelce, and I would still start Garrett Wilson. I'm still just never going to sit Garrett Wilson because whether it's 2 wide receivers in the flex or 3 wide receivers, there are not 35 other receivers on a weekly basis that I'm going to be looking to start ahead of Garrett Wilson. So I just don't see how you're ever going to take him out, regardless of who's playing quarterback. He could take one home anytime, anyways. As we've already seen from him this year, we've also seen another incredible catch. I mean, hey, he's got 2 touchdowns already with Zach Wilson throwing the ball through 3 games. So talent can still make things happen. It's not an ideal situation. Cap's a ceiling, but he's still a guy that you're going to play with regularity. And just sit everybody else. You can't start any of the Chiefs wide receivers here. Again, you're only starting Mahomes and Kelce out of respect. Pacheco will probably just get some nice volume in, so they try and work the clock a bit. But this is probably just going to be a drubbing from the Chiefs. This is going to be terrible. Man, Taylor Swift finally starting to watch games, and it's going to be another blowout. She's not getting introduced to good football, that's for sure, just smackings. And we conclude with the final match of the week, Monday Night Football. We've got another back-to-back primetime situation for MetLife Stadium. Those workers can be working overnight to transform the field from Jets to Giants as the Giants host the Seahawks. Giants are minus 1 point favorites, slight home favorites, minus 115 on the money line. Seahawks minus 105 dogs. I got to be honest, I'm kind of surprised by that. That's a lack of respect for the Seahawks, or way too much respect for the Giants, even being at home. Oh my goodness, the Giants have been horrific outside of the second half against the Cardinals. Great half. But 5 out of 6 halves, they've been a dumpster fire of a team. Barkley, I am guessing, is not going to be back yet, so that is going to be troublesome for them. Seahawks, on the other hand, have looked strong. Good performance to go in on the road and steal one against Detroit. Easily took care of business at home against the Panthers, and as far as the Rams' loss to open the season goes, frankly, that was incredibly predictable. Anybody that pays attention to the NFC West was aware of the Rams' hold over the Seahawks. They were never going to win that game. So you can kind of write that one off. They always lose to the Rams. Seahawks are clicking, looking good. Ground game's looking good in particular. So I really like the Seahawks going and take one on the road here as minus 105 underdogs. Oh, man, I hope that goes a little further so we can get some plus money for the Seahawks before I lay that down. But I do love that. And in relation to that, in a fantasy sense, we will start Geno Smith. We will start Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, all the usual Seahawks suspects. Why not? Facing the Giants, what's there to be afraid of? And on the other side, I will start Danny Dimes in this matchup. The pass defense of the Seahawks has not been great, so I think he might be able to find a little success through the air this week in a losing effort. So if you have either Jalen Hyatt or Isaiah Hodgins, I think this is a week you can take a stab on them. I would throw one of those guys out there if you need, kind of a more of a ceiling than a floor with your matchup this week. There we go. That's how I would categorize it. If you really need to take a shot, take a home run swing, I would go for one of those guys. And also Darren Waller. I know a lot of people are freaking out after the first 2 weeks. I'm saying hold the line, exercise patience. This is a week that Darren Waller will perform for you. Be excited. Because it's probably going to be the most interesting thing you get out of this game is if you roster Darren Waller, you get to follow some possible actual production this week. You go ahead and sit JSN until further notice, until he gets more involved in this offense. If he gets more involved in this offense, I don't think he's going to do much here in his rookie year as long as DK and Lockett stay on the field. You can sit Noah Fant, and of course, you can sit Matt Breida. No reason to start those gentlemen. And that wraps it up for what's upcoming week 4. Again, disclaimer here, all betting numbers lines given are courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook. Not what I would use for necessarily everything, but instead of trying to bounce around from book to book, especially with such constant change, just give you lines from, with FanDuel, the most widely accessible legal sports book here in the United States, if you live in a legal betting state. Also, all parlay sightlines are from Underdog. On Discord, you will see more mixed in with prize picks as well, but for the purposes of the show, we only use Underdog. And also always have to note that not all props have been released. It is still a limited board here on Wednesday evening. There's even a bunch just from last night to tonight that I couldn't even add in before the show because they weren't there last night. So make sure you're following the Discord link below for the most up-to-date picks, news, everything, and also on Twitter as well. But Discord's really where it's much more active. A little core that likes to discuss trades and starts and sits. So come join us. Come talk some fantasy. Follow me for more prop picks. As the week progresses, you'll see more tomorrow night, Friday night, sometimes Saturday. And we'll also follow the movement of what we gave you here tonight. Now, if you are going to go ahead and play, make sure you go to Underdog for your pick'em work, for your pick'em slips. Sign up, use code ROGUE, get a 100% deposit match on your first $100 deposit. So put in 100, you have 200 to play with. Same thing using code ROGUE, ROGUE. Same thing over on Prize Picks. Use code ROGUE to get a 100% deposit match on your first up to $100 deposited. And of course, don't forget about Sleeper. Most of you are using that for at least one fantasy football league that you're in at this point. Go over to the Pick'em area. You can make a deposit there. Use code RF-FF_Tycoon. This one I have for you. So follow below. Underdog, code ROGUE. Prize Picks, code ROGUE. Sleeper, RF-FF_Tycoon. They will deposit 100% of your first $25. Put in 25, get 50. And there we have it. We're ready for week 4. Again, stay up on the Discord so you can stay current, get more picks. Also, make sure you are watching the premiere betting show that will drop tomorrow night or Friday morning. Yet another week in the black for the show. We're winning. So make sure you come over and get your proper football, soccer for you Americans. No, get your picks over there. Have some fun on Saturday with the Premier League as we wait for NFL on Sunday. And that is that. We're ready to go. So once again, thank you very much for joining the boardroom. This meeting is adjourned, and let's win together.